Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Instagram Live. We are live in the house and we are excited to be on tonight. We see persons rolling in. We have five persons so far. Welcome, 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 welcome. Come on, share this link, share the live stream. We can have persons jumping on over here. We are happy to have everybody on. All right. Big up yourself, Dwight. We have Madeline Tucker on. We have Kimisha. Come on, send some love in the chat. We see Simone on. Kabira. All right. We are rolling in. We're going to be starting in about 2 minutes. So tell a friend to tell a friend. And we all should be jumping on in a few. All right, so we see persons rolling in. So I just want to welcome everyone to our Instagram live, and this is in honor of our World Obesity Day. We know World Obesity Day was last week, Tuesday, but we got to keep the vibe rolling because obesity is still a key. And we are going to be talking tonight about tackling childhood obesity in the Caribbean, a youth led conversation. And tonight we have a awesome panel of young, vibrant people who will be joining us on tonight. We're going to have them on in a minute or two, but still tell somebody about the live stream, guys. We need you to jump on and join in to our live stream. Yes, big things going on over HCC and HCY Youth, Healthy Caribbean Youth. Yes, yes, yes. So we are going to be introducing our panelists at this time. And I'm going to introduce them one at a time, and then they'll tell you a little bit more about themselves when they jump on. All right. So our first panelist tonight is Melody Hercules, and she's from the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and she's a community dietitian. We're going to invite Melody to jump on and just tell us about herself.
Good night, everyone. As mentioned before, my name is Melody Hercules, and I am from the beautiful island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Beck to be more specific. As mentioned, I am a community dietitian, and fun fact, I am very passionate about working with youths, but I'm also very passionate about baking. I'm a foodie, so I love going on TikTok and finding new recipes, but trying to make them healthy so that I can make sure that my patients still enjoy nutritious and delicious foods.
All right. Big up yourself, Melody. Thanks for that nice introduction. And she's from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. If you're repping St. Vincent and the Grenadines tonight, I want you to drop your flag in the chat. Come on, drop that flag in the chat if you're representing St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And all if you not come from there, put it in the chat. We want, oh, I forgot that it's not just Jamaican people on the line. So let me use up the English language so everybody can understand me. So yes, drop that flag in the chat. We want to see all the what we call them what we call you guys, Melody, Vincent,
Vincentians.
Vincentians. All right. So
Vincentians.
I just wanted to make sure I got it right. So drop out those flags in the chat. All right. And next we have Rosette Scotland, and she's from Trinidad and Tobago, and she's a clinical dietitian. She'll tell you a little bit more about herself.
A pleasant good evening to all the listeners joining us today. My name is Rosette Scotland, as mentioned, and I am a clinical dietitian working in the public hospital setting in Trinidad and Tobago. I've been employed in the field for 2 years now, but I've been a passionate foodie and nutrition student for over 5 years now. Over the years, I've been truly engaged in this field and engaging in nutrition education presentations, volunteering at health fairs, so I'm beyond grateful to be given the opportunity tonight to speak amongst youth like myself on a matter that is truly pertinent to us in the region, really tackling childhood obesity. So thank you, Alex. Thank you to the panelists today.
But the Trini people are in the chat heavy, heavy. They are, they are in the chat live and direct. So big up to all our Trini people in the chat. All right, Rosette, you have your whole fan base here. Boy, we in for a wonderful night tonight. All right, so we're gonna have our next panelist, Alicia Thomas, and she's from Antigua and Barbuda. She's a mental health advocate, and she'll be introducing herself at this time.
Good evening, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Alicia Thomas. I am a youth behavioral coach and well-being practitioner working in schools in Antigua and Barbuda, where my practice primarily involves supporting student well-being through social and emotional skill development. Fun fact about me, I've been an avid gym goer for over 15 years. Still love the gym, but it's not doing it for me as much as it used to. So my goal as of last year was to try at least one new physical activity each year. Last year I learned to swim, and this year I'm trying to get into boxing. Pleasure to be here with my fellow colleagues from around the Caribbean. Thank you to Alex and the team.
Big up, boy, the Antiguan people in the chat. Boy, may I tell you, Jamaican people never go come out strong tonight, because it's like these people draw the entire Eastern Caribbean on the live stream. So we are excited to have all our different Caribbean islands on. Now, lastly, but by no means least, the gentleman in the group tonight, in the group of our panelists, is Mr. Othni Lamont, and he's a sports medicine physiotherapist, and he's from the beautiful island of Jamaica, and he will tell us a little bit more about himself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure first to be here with my colleagues from across the region. As was mentioned earlier, my name is Ophni Lamont, and I am a trained physical therapist, and I'm also would like to say I'm a specialist in sports medicine, exercise, and health, and I'm passionate about movement and physical activity, specifically how exercise can be used within primary health care to treat non-communicable diseases. I hope that tonight, as we discuss about obesity from a youth, from the lenses of the youth, that we will all be inspired to act and continue to push for greater policy within this area. Thank you.
All right, all right. So you see, we don't have no pricket tonight on, it's a proper set of people. We have our trained professionals tonight who will be guiding us through the discussion and leading a warm and full of excitement discussion. So we are really happy and really excited that you guys could join on. So just why is it that we chose childhood obesity, and what is it about childhood obesity? So, just an overview of childhood obesity in the Caribbean. 1 in 3 Caribbean children is overweight or obese. The region faces high rates of NCDs, non communicable diseases like diabetes and hypertension, starting at younger ages. So, our food environment, we have a lot of ultra processed foods, sugar sweetened beverages, and fast food are dominating. So, we have moved away from the cooking at home style to just fast foods, a lot of fast foods. too much fast foods. And I know our dietitians will speak to that a little later. But for the physical inactivity, which Mr. Lamont will be speaking to, we see there's a rising due to increased screen time and reduced outdoor play. So we also have the mental health component. Mental health is often overlooked in obesity prevention, but body image, self-esteem, and emotional eating plays a huge role. So let's jump right into our panel. We now waste no time. But hold on, before we jump in, I need everybody to go over to your friends and tell them say big things are going at HCY. I don't understand Afni. I can't see the HFJ massive and the fix my food massive yet, but we're giving them time. They're coming off the plane to get into the chat. All right, because they're coming from all over the Caribbean. So you know the whole heap of flights coming through. So to start with our first panelist, Melody, just an opening statement that you want to, just whet up our appetite with before we get into our questions.
Childhood obesity, as we know, is a growing public health concern, and there are lots of long term consequences that I think we often overlook. So I just want to, I'm happy to be here tonight so we can remind persons that healthy eating can be both nutritious and delicious.
All right, jump right in, Rosette. One dietitian after the other. Pick up the baton.
Just echoing Melody's concerns, it's really important that, we remember that prevention is better than cure. And our children are our future. So it's important that we start at an early age to really build healthier habits from a younger age.
All right. Alicia, pick up the baton.
Yeah, I'll just say that, there's no health without mental health. The relationship between mental health and physical health is a two-way street, meaning that, physical health problems can lead to mental health, as well as mental health challenges can lead to physical illness. And so it's important to always look at it's important not to exclude the mental health aspect of things when we're having these sort of discussions.
And the 4x1 is ending with off Neil.
What to know about physical activity for children? Physical activity is good for our children in many ways. Benefits include improved academic performance, brain health, muscular fitness, heart and lung health, cardiometabolic health, long term health, bone strength, and measures of healthy weight.
All right, Afnil. All of them big word. How we're gonna break it down later for those persons who may not be in the clinical space and they just want to, make some responses. They want to understand what we're saying because my understanding, but me not sure if everybody else understanding. But yes, I am sure that our panelists will put meat on the bones tonight. All right, so Melody, starting with you. First question that we got for you: how can we make healthy foods more affordable and accessible for Caribbean youth, especially in rural communities?
So, first thing I would like to say is that we have to, one, remember that the information is given tonight is a general guideline because each of us we come from different countries. So what works for St. Vincent would not work for Trinidad and would not work for Jamaica. But this is a general guideline, and these are ideas that we have to look at also the resources available in our countries before we go forward. So, for example, we have boosting local food production and supporting farmers. We have our food-based dietary guidelines, especially in St. Vincent, and we like to promote supporting local. And we've been trying within recent times to get different farmers in different areas to be connected to different communities so they have access. Because what we found out is that a lot of the farmers are coming to the main town to sell their produce, and then there's none left in the community that they're living in, so that they don't have access to it. And many persons may not be able to come to Kingstown to be able to purchase these things. So we have to look at ways to find to get them accessible there, whether it's creating small market spaces like that, the farmers markets where you go and have specials. We're also trying to encourage backyard gardening in the schools because oftentimes we hear They don't have access to the vegetables, or there's not a big enough space. So we've been trying to promote backyard gardening, encouraging reduce, reuse, recycle. So you're using things that are found within your environment. So you're not putting yourself in any expense. The old butter containers and old refrigerator, things that you're gonna find in the environment that persons would have discarded, that you can use now to grow your own fruits and your own vegetables so that you have access to them. Because at some point in time, we all are responsible. We all have a part to play in trying to find access. So we, yes, we have the local farmers, but whatever we can do from our end in terms of backyard gardening is also very important. We have enhancing food education and awareness. This is key. It was mentioned earlier, I think Rosette touched on it in her opening statement, that it's very important for us to educate everyone. And yes, we're educating the older ones and the parents who are going to be ones buying the stuff or the ones making decisions. However, it's also very important for us to educate the youths. They're the ones break time, lunchtime, after school, going out and buying these snacks. So we need to encourage them, we need to educate them on the importance of why this has to be done. Why do you have to make healthy food choices? Why should I choose mangoes over the conquers? If we educate them and we get that into their system, into their mindset at a young age, it kind of makes it easier as they grow older because it's already ingrained in them and it's not something that they're now trying to get into. Additionally, as the theme for this year was changing systems for healthier lives, so we know it's just not a one man show. It's not just on me, it's not just on the schools, it's also on policies, getting policies passed, doing sugar sweetened beverages, taxations, increasing the taxes on the foods that aren't healthy for us. Because oftentimes when you have discussions and we go out and we talk to persons, the same cries this is that they can't afford the fruits and the vegetables, or what they can afford are the things that are high in salt, high in sugar, high in fat. So we have making food healthy, making healthy food available, and also innovation. As I said, when you're dealing with youth, you have to look at finding creative ways. So I like to go on TikTok and I like to look at recipes and then try to make them healthier. So we have to use our local resources, whatever you have access to in your country, and try to make it healthier, not just in buying stuff, but also how you're preparing it, making sure you're using less oil, you're baking and grilling instead of frying. So there are also different aspects that we have to look at, but we also have to make sure it encompasses everything. Teamwork is definitely the dream work when it comes to this.
You heard it from our very own community dietitian. Teamwork makes the dream work. We have to do this together. And some a point that jumped out at me: the farmers markets. It's very important. We see it in the first world countries. They do have farmers markets, and it's easier for persons to access stuff. So very good points, Melody. And I see the stuff coming in on our chat. People are just agreeing with you, and all of these things. Yeah, talk sense. So we agree. Anybody have any questions, you can always drop it in the chat and we'll ask them in the later part of our session. All right, so over to you, Rosette. We often hear about sugar being a big problem in childhood obesity. Can you break down how sugary drinks and snacks affect children health over time? So we grow up and eat biscuit and all of those things, sweetie bag juices, sky juices, all of those stuff are known in Jamaica. But what I do to the pitney them? Why is it a problem that they can't have these snacks and sugary sweetened beverages?
Thank you for the question, Alex. And yes, the trainees in the chat would know, we're not unfamiliar with a soccer bag or a piece of current roll or whatever it might be. But in order to really answer this question, we must first examine what sugary foods and sugar sweetened beverages are really providing to children in terms of nutrition. So to break it down, we must really understand that these sugary drinks as well as sugary snacks will be considered calorie dense. What do I mean by that? Essentially, the ratio of nutrients to calories is low. So the child is really going to be getting more calories than nutrition. So it's really of low or little nutritional value. Now, why is this a concern? sugary drinks are actually making up a large composition of these children's diets. So, additional calories that are not going to be burned will be stored as fat, leading to unintentional weight gain. And as a result, increasing the incidence of children who are living with overweight or obesity. And that's ideally not what we want. Now, additionally, we also need to consider that these sugary drinks as well as snacks can displace or take the place of nutritious meals. For example, instead of having a home cooked meal that is balanced with vegetables, high fiber staples, and lean meats, they might instead be offered a slice of cake or a soft drink to go with it. And oftentimes, yes, you might offer it when the child is hungry, but it's only going to really give them temporary feeling of fullness while leading or resulting in large gaps in terms of their nutrition. And over time, we have been seeing that children who have diets that largely consist of these sugary foods are also becoming deficient in key nutrients, for example, protein, fiber, and even iron, which will then present in the child in the form of constipation, um, fatigue, and even poor growth and development, common concerns that are raised by parents, and they are not really thinking about it being linked to the diet. So it's important that we consider how the sugar is affecting them in this way as well. Now, diets that are going to be lacking in whole grains, peas and beans, lean meats, fruits, and vegetables will really lead to unintentional health conditions that could develop over time, right? And over the years, we have been seeing where we follow children, with large consumption of these sugary foods, we are seeing an increased risk of diabetes at a younger age, which, most persons think about mainly in adults. But we have been seeing it develop in younger and younger children in the clinical setting. So it's really important that you consider this as well. Now, children living with obesity and overweight, coupled with the increased risk of type 2 diabetes, physical inactivity could also increase risk of heart disease that could develop later on in their lives. So it's really important that we don't just think about the short term effects, but look at the long term effects as well. Not to mention, we have children with increased risk of tooth decay with frequent consumption of these sugary drinks and snacks, coupled with poor oral care. This is something that we tend to see more and more. So it's really important that we take a holistic view of how sugar is affecting our children, not just at one level, but throughout their lives as well. Thank you, Alex.
Boy, Rosette, we know say you got school. We now have to ask because as a dietitian myself, a clinical dietitian too, it's on point. I think Rosette hit the nail on the head in terms of these empty calories. So anybody that comes to me again that was not here on this live and ask me why I can't give my child back juice and biscuit, and I'm gonna send them to this live stream to listen to Rosette's explanation because we are tired to preach it. I'm sure Melody can ditto the the empty calories, and no matter how we talk to them, and it's right across the Caribbean. I'm sure some of the stories that I may give, Rosette and Melody can give you similar stories of persons talking about, oh, they have to eat it. I grew up on it. It's a rite of passage, and them this and that, and all of those things. So it's important that we understand empty calories. So let us drop in the chat, say no to empty calories. I don't know if we can start that little trend. Say no to empty calories. You want to drop that in the chat. All right. And we see Rihanna. Oh, big up yourself, Rihanna from UNICEF. You report in Jamaica. She said empty calories. And Tamasha over there in Guyana said agriculture teachers should enjoy planting should enjoy planting of vegetables in school. Yes, Tamasha, we agree. So we are seeing that the chat is being populated. Yes. All right. Everybody's dropping in the chat. Say no to empty calories. We love the vibe and the energy over there on our Instagram live. All right. So Alicia, over to you now. How does childhood obesity impact mental health, self esteem, and emotional well being? And what can young people do to build a positive relationship with their body?
Thank you, Alex. There are a number of social and emotional implications when we consider childhood obesity. And I specify social and emotional because social and emotional well being are factors that constitute mental health. So we find that children and young people who are obese or overweight experience a lot of bullying. They often have difficulties developing relationships with their peers and are sometimes afraid to try new things for fear of being excluded or judged, all of which lead to feelings of sadness, loneliness, anxiety, and stress. And there are so many factors that influence the emotional well being of children and young people who are obese and overweight. For example, with the increased access to social media from an early age, children and young people are exposed to trends, including those relating to body types. And this tied to our very Caribbean way of commenting on body weight as a greeting or bringing it up in conversation. Oh, you look, you're getting fat, or you put on weight, man. All of these things can lead to children and young people becoming more conscious of the values we place on different body types, of course, leading to this comparison mindset. And this is where self esteem challenges present because the way we value ourselves, unfortunately, is normally based on external factors like the messaging we get from the people around us. So, if children and young people are constantly experiencing being othered because of their appearance, or they see the way in which persons who have different bodies to them are being treated, they very well become self-conscious. And I think it's important for us to remember that we're social beings, and especially at a young age, relationships and connection are important. So we can imagine that these experiences are very stressful for these children and young people, and they very well affect their ability to connect. And when we think about stress, there is a need for coping skills. And unfortunately, again, because we're not proactive about equipping our young people with these skills, sometimes these stressors are beyond their coping abilities, which compound matters and create issues like aggression, substance abuse, emotional eating, all of which perpetuate the cycle of obesity. So, to answer the second part of the question, what can young people do? I think one of the first things is about being self compassionate, right? Being kind to yourself, even though maybe you're not a fan of the way in which you look. And then also realizing that self worth is not dependent on your appearance. We are all valuable and worthy of respect, regardless of what we look like. So it's about recognizing your positive qualities, knowing your strengths, what you're good at, and using those things to your advantage. The second thing that I would say is that we need to be mindful of what we consume on social media. We know that the more we consume a particular type of content, the more the algorithm produces it for us to consume, right? And again, there's that cycle. So we want to really create discipline around that. I think IG has this feature where you're able to lock yourself out of the app after a certain amount of time. So it's about utilizing those features if you don't feel like you have the ability to be disciplined on your own. And then finally, what I will say, relating specifically to the systems, it's about governments, communities, families encouraging children and young people to engage in healthy habits that are enjoyable, right? So, as Melody mentioned, there are a lot of meals on TikTok that look great but are not as healthy, but you can recreate them to be healthier. And when we think about sustainability, we are more inclined to do the things we're more inclined to continue doing the things that we like doing. So if we're engaging in activities that are enjoyable to us, we're more likely to continue on. So if you don't like going to the gym, you don't have to go to the gym. Find something else that you enjoy doing. If you don't like broccoli, add a little cheese. I don't know if that's healthy enough, but add a little cheese maybe to it one week, one day of the week, and make it a little bit more enjoyable to you. or blend it and put it in a pasta sauce or something like that. So it's really about finding things that we enjoy, that are healthy. Thank you, Alex.
Awesome, awesome, awesome sauce, pun intended. So I just want quick. Each of our panelists, starting with Rosette, then Afneil, then Melody, tell us one thing that you do that brings joy to you.
I'm trying to start my little home kitchen garden, so that's bringing joy for me right now.
All right.
Well, this is non-physical activity, but it works my lungs and it's singing.
Okay. All right.
Within recent times, consistently taking evening walks with my mother.
Okay. All right. So mine is swimming. I didn't know I would love it so much. Well, I've been swimming all my life, so it's just really exciting. When I hit the water, there is nothing, you just feel like you weigh 0 pounds and you're just going through the water. It's just really fun. Alicia can attest to that as a new swimmer. Yes, it's really fun. It's really fun. Drop it in the chat. What do you enjoy to do? What is one of your just let down your hair activities? Drop it in our Instagram chat. Let's know what you guys love doing. All right, so over to Afneil and your question. And this is a question that is plaguing us right across the board in the Caribbean. Many Caribbean children are inactive due to screen time and lack of safe play spaces. What are some simple, fun ways that you can stay active every day, even without a gym or a park?
All right, thank you, Alex, for that question. That's a very loaded question, has multiple components to it. But I'm going to start by simply saying start early. And I feel like if we start early, meaning having our children start playing early, um, that will solve a lot of the problems. One of the things that has overtaken the Caribbean in particular is this mindset that somehow play is bad and it's juxtaposed or it's competing against academics. And because we have created that in our minds, that the more the child plays, it's the less the child will learn, then many families have become very rigid. The child, no, stop the playing. Why are you playing? Why do you play so much? And so the child is not allowed to experience the world through play, which then opens the imagination and also helps with cognitive development. And I think, especially in lower socioeconomic backgrounds, play can, if you were to do a lot, the research shows that we have this very negative emotion towards playing in these spaces, while in probably more affluent communities, a lot of the children they do badminton and tennis, and they're doing swimming classes, and they're in a lot of well structured physical activity programs. However, on the lower end of the scale, our children are struggling in terms of physical activity. So it's a young children need to love to play, and that can only be fostered from a young age. Um, we should encourage a lot of safe and just unstructured movement and play from an early age. And then when it comes on to physical activity needs to be fun. It cannot be too rigid, or else the child will be discouraged from engaging in such, whether it be structured or unstructured. Now, in terms of um, ways in which we can encourage play and just being simple ways, dance breaks, right? Very, very simple. Turn on their favorite soca, reggae, and of course, we have to be realistic, dancehall song. And for them to dance, parents could join in. Skipping rope. When last have we seen a child with a skipping rope on in their homes? Very, very simple. Even just doing home obstacle courses. Sometimes we're like, why are you throwing the pillow? Why are you creating that? Allow the child to do it. Allow the child to express his or herself and doing what they love. The cleanup might be a little, tiresome, but we should allow them to do it. Family should experience, family should plan family fitness time. A big part of what we need to change is that children live what they see, and if adults are inactive, then children are going to be inactive. And so sometimes this conversation is really, sometimes adults need to understand that they are also contributing to the fact that physical inactivity is where it's at, right? Because the research suggests that about 80% of our adolescents in the region are physically inactive, right? They don't meet the 60 minutes of daily moderate to vigorous physical activity as set out by WHO. Another thing is traditional Caribbean games, which have essentially become extinct, right? We're talking about the jumping jacks, we're talking about the dandy shandy, the hopscotch, right? Community spaces, we can put in these games, right? Like, so when you're building a park, why not mark out the hopscotch? Why not create spaces where the children can say, oh, let me play this game with a friend, right? Those are some of the things we can do. Active chore challenges, right? Just making chores fun. Because a lot of the physical activity, sometimes when we think about physical activity, we think that it really needs to be something like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, as you mentioned, but it can simply be that you ask the child to fold the clothes and you decide to make an activity out of it. So if there are siblings, you might have a leaderboard, and each time you finish the task within a certain time, you potentially get a point, or I will buy you a treat, right? And a healthy treat, that is. Um, Other things that we can encourage the children to do in terms of, we're talking about maybe doing walks, so that it's taking the child to the park. Um, in the Caribbean, the parks might not necessarily always be ideal, and we might not have those spaces, but we have yard spaces at our homes, right? So walking around the house, right? If you do have stairs, you could simply use a step at home, and for about 10 minutes, just do 10 minutes of movements up and down the steps. The final thing I would suggest is, there are lots of apps. We love to use technology, so this is where technology can be used. There are lots of apps, such as there's a fun app called the Google Noodle, Go Noodle. There's also a Nike Training Club app that's free that has a whole set of kids workouts. So there are lots of technology within the Apple, within the Play Store, that you can check out, and just type in physical activity play, and you'll see tons of apps that can be used.
Oh boy, everybody I say I love those suggestions and all of that. Wow, wow, wow. We just I'm really impressed with this panel. I'm really impressed with this panel. This group of persons here are well equipped to answer the questions. All right, now, so we're going to take some question and answers quickly from our Instagram. So drop those questions in the chat, and please to say who the question is for. So we're waiting on the questions. Okay, so this is a comment from 268 underscore Anu Girls saying, yes, this nice bud! Exclamation mark. You see, when I said the nice bud, you know that there's an exclamation mark there. So she's really excited so far. Come on, let those questions roll on in. All right, so we have a question here. Just from each person, 1 minute, just tell us what's the power of policy to support the behaviors and some of the suggestions that you made. And if you even have an example, you can just drop it. So, quickly, 1 minute, a power response to that question.
Thank you, Alex. I think the power of policy could really come in terms of helping to make the healthier choice the easier choice. We know that we often say, okay, we want to eat healthy, but then you go to the grocery and the price range might be a little higher than you desire it to be. However, if you're able to make an informed decision, it would help. So really advocating and really calling for policymakers to support front of package warning labels is really key. So that's where I think the power of policy could really come in to help equip our public to make informed decisions for a healthier lifestyle.
Going off of Rosette's point, policy is very important. Whenever we have these conversations and we push for the school nutrition policy, the school feeding policy, the front of package warning label, and I often tell them this is like a guide because now we have like a backbone to push everything else on. We're doing this because this is the policy in place, so we have to do this. So this kind of works as like a motivation and a push for us to get the things and the changes that we want to make done and really change the systems.
All right, Alicia.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everyone. I think policy is crucial when we think about how mental health can be connected. I think that, for example, you mentioned schools and the policies that are in the schools. We can include policies where, children have access to support if they need it. So, for example, if we're having, we have students who are experiencing bullying, we have policies against that. If there's someone who needs individual support, we also have policies put in place to support those persons. We also create, curriculums where persons are taught about these connections. So yeah, I think policies is very important to this conversation.
All right, and after you.
Really love that question. I think while parents play a major role in keeping our children active, I really believe that governments have a responsibility to create environments that promote movement and reduce sedentary behavior. So, five simple things: investing in safe play spaces to increase and maintain public parks, playgrounds, and community sporting facilities, making physical activity a priority in schools, not just saying it, but creating the spaces within the curriculum for children to play is very, very important. And not World Play Day is great, but it would be nice to have day play day. Every day it's been a play day. Urban planning for active living. So as we continue to plan and develop our cities, ensuring that we build sidewalks, pedestrian zones, safe cycling paths, right? Regulating screen time might be very important. So when we talk about, we're also talking about not just at home, but within schools. What does that look like? So we're talking about limiting excessive screen-based learning. So while we're trying to push for technology to be more and more included, we also have to balance it off by encouraging active learning strategies within our school systems. And then finally, we want to support community based physical activity programs. So we're talking about investing more in youth sports league and after school fitness programs.
Awesome. Awesome. Policy people. We are full of advocates on the live tonight. All right, so we have some questions coming in. Listen, people, the government time soon cut off, so we can't read out all of the question name. But here, what we're gonna do, we're gonna pick at some. But this question really popped out at me. This is directed to our dietitians in the house. Who is that? Who are those people? All right. So, how can we as individuals develop a positive relationship with food? Seeing that unhealthy eating, poor diets is a key contributor to obesity and chronic diseases. Boy, this question loaded like loaded fries. Who wanna go first?
I'll take a shot of it, Alex.
All right, quick
The question
response.
is definitely loaded, but what I will say briefly is that we must first go back to the purpose of food. Food was designed to really nourish our bodies, provide us with the necessary energy, nutrients to survive and perform the functions that we have to. So oftentimes persons think about food as, a diet, or think about vegetables as just eating salad. But it could be a part of a balanced and enjoyable pattern for your day because we eat to survive. So I think really just going back to the basics of why we eat food and what is going to be given to our bodies, how it's important for our health and well-being, it would really help you to start building that positive relationship with food over time. Melody?
Running off of Rosette's comment, I think it also plays, I think a mental part is the mental aspect is a part of it too, because we also have to look at how people grew up. When we grow up, you have the food on the plate and you're told you have to eat every single thing, even if you're full, you have to eat every single thing off your plate. Don't leave anything there. Or other times you're eating too much, and these things play a part how they speak to us growing up when it comes to eating. So oftentimes I like to remind any person I'm talking to when it comes to food, when I'm talking to them personally or giving presentations, that your mealtime is supposed to be enjoyable. Eating food is not a punishment. It's not something that you're supposed to dread doing. It's something that you're supposed to look forward to, something you're enjoying, because your food is nutritious. You get so many nutrients. It's so important for your body to function the way it's supposed to function. And I think if we remind persons of the power that food has for them and just encourage them to have fun with it. It's not supposed to be something that's draining you. Find fun ways to make the food that you like to eat enjoyable and healthy as well. And this challenge will also kind of spark some motivation, make it fun, make it creative. But we also have to look at that mental aspect when it comes to the relationship between how we eating and what we're eating.
Awesome, awesome. Boy, Rosette and Melody, all the questions are for you tonight. So that's the last question in our Q&A section. Coming in from Rosanna. Rosanna, big up yourself over there in Jamaica. Question for Rosette and Melody. What advice can you give to persons who want to make lifestyle or dietary changes but might be finding it challenging? Hold on. Rosanna is a nutritionist. From I hear the question and know Rosanna is a nutritionist. But this is like just a tiny free consult for some people. But if you need more in-depth information, you need to book a consult with one of us to get this type of information. But just give us a general overview, Rosette and Melody.
Okay, one key thing that I would recommend is to set smart goals when it comes to your health and lifestyle habits. Oftentimes, you set these goals that are really large and unattainable, but if you break it down to say, okay, I want to drink more water, but how are you going to do that? I'm going to set a reminder on my phone, to make sure that I have the water when I need it. I'm going to make sure that I carry a reusable water bottle, and I'm going to set an accountability partner. So say, hey, I'm really trying to drink more water this week. You could keep me accountable because I might forget. So it's important that when you're setting these goals or you're really trying to make a lifestyle change, make sure they're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Right? So that's one of the tips that I would give to that person for setting a healthy lifestyle goal.
Wonderful. Melody, quick out the blocks.
It was similar to what Rosette was going to mention. Finding support, because you're going to need support during this. It's often very easy for us to follow unhealthy habits, but it's harder for us to be consistent with healthy habits. So find persons to keep you accountable. Find persons who are probably on a similar journey as you, so that you find someone that you can relate to, so you don't feel as though you're in a struggle by yourself.
Awesome, awesome. All right, one last question. Adito Dior underscore X. Lord, I don't know, have some fancy names, sir. Don't know if this was mentioned already. However, this is for Alicia. Does nutrition or deficits in children? No, this is for our dietitians again. However, does nutrition or deficits in children contribute to their moods and possible tantrums? So, Alicia can answer from the mental health perspectives, but I'm gonna drop this question for everybody just to give a quick response, 30 seconds. Let me read the question again. Does nutrition deficits contribute to their moods and possible tantrums? Starting with Alicia.
All right. Yes, definitely. I mean, let's think about it this way. I'm pretty sure we've heard of the term hungry, right? If you're hungry, um you're not able to focus, are you? So you're irritable. If you're not eating adequately, you're unable to focus in class. um Everything is annoying to you. So there's definitely a connection between deficits in our nutrition and moods. Think about as well sugar and the spikes it causes in our, I think is it glucose, right? So we have a lot of energy. You have children with a lot of energy, and then energy crashes. So for example, if children are eating, sweet foods for breakfast, they come to school and you see them on the table, maybe with their head down, tired because they just went through a sugar crash. So there definitely is a connection, and we have to be mindful of that when we're giving our children food to eat.
Excellent. And Dr. White just added the consumption of sugar contributes to hyperactivity in children. That's rightly so. All right. So quick off, Neil. You just want to drop a comment on that question.
Certainly, I think I'll pair the two together. Earlier, I mentioned as one of the benefits of physical activity is academic performance. And so to break that down, we're talking about improving attention and memory. So if it is that you're consuming sugar heavy laden food, ultra processed foods, coupled with the fact that you're physically inactive, then your attention and memory span is certainly going to be affected. And then beyond that, when we talk about brain health, then it increases the risk of depression. And so the research has proven or shown that physical activity, and if you are active and along with a healthy diet, you can decrease the risk of depression by about 20%. So certainly the two together can be powerful if used right.
All right. You see, because I don't want no stones coming internationally at me, let me just ask this quick question. Viewers, no more questions. But the last question, dead last. What are your thoughts, of Neil, on pre workout or protein powders for gym goers? Is that
Re-
a
re-
dietitian question or
repeat the repeat the first part of the question.
what are your thoughts on pre workout or protein powder for gym goers?
Pre-workout protein powder. Well, well, certainly from a physical activity standpoint or exercise standpoint, um, I'm going to consider a pre-workout almost as a warm-up program. I'm assuming that's what the person meant, or that's what the question is alluding to. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a pre-workout program to get into the main workout program, especially depending on what you're going to work on. Um, this might also be dependent on how long you personally, in terms of how your body responds to exercise. This can be likened to similar to like athletes. So an athlete would probably do a program before they run. They're literally potentially warming up sometimes 1, 2 hours before you see them hit the track because they need to get their muscles warm. So no, I don't have a problem with that. As it relates to protein powder, um, I know within our space and how we use protein powder, is that we check to ensure that the product itself has been certified, not just that it's in a bottle, but certified to say that it has what it has in. Because a lot of these products will profess to have whatever nutrients, but it doesn't really have it. And so certification, and this is to also to ensure that there are no banned substances within the product, as the athlete has to do drug testing.
Okay, all right. That's a mouthful. All right, Dr. White said pre workouts can have too much caffeine. Protein powders are consumed to rebuild muscle after lifting. As a natural vegan bodybuilder, I use plant based protein post workout. Yes, yes. Listen, we're not even going to start that conversation tonight because if we go there, that's a whole new life. So, here what? You're going to send us in our private messages on Instagram what you want us to talk about next time. Because it seems that we have to make this thing a regular thing. But maybe with different panelists. I don't know if you want but the same people, but we have so much other young people who are vibrant, full of knowledge and energy. So we can maybe do this another time. All right, last question. Last question. This is a paid question, so I have to be careful, you know. This is one of our sponsors. I'm just kidding. But how would you rate the meals for school feeding in Trinidad and Tobago? And this is coming from Tamasha, a fellow nutritionist in Guyana. Quick, Rosette.
Yes, Alex, I'll be quick. So I would rate our school feed and what we call here locally box lunch a 10 out of 10, really and truly, because the National School Dietary Services Limited in Trinidad and Tobago actually have dietitians working alongside the different caterers to actually make sure that they get at least a third of the recommended dietary allowances in particular meals offered to the children, and they also make it fun. So they offer healthy alternatives to common foods that children would like. For example, roti is popular here in the Caribbean. So we would have, a veggie day with the roti, or we might even do vegetable pizzas. You might see bhaji being introduced with, dal and rice. So the meals are oftentimes balanced and include a vegetable. So I'm really, really proud of the work that is being done there in terms of our school feeding in Trinidad. And I think that, over the time, they will continue to make greater additions and adjustments. But for right now, I think they're doing a really good job.
So big up the school feeding in Trinidad and
Yes.
Tobago, and we are advocating for that here in Jamaica. We want school nutritionists, school dietitians to help to guide this process. And we were told, I'm calling out our ministers again. We had a session recently, and they promised us that we are going to get our school nutrition policy by next September coming. So we are holding them to that, and we are holding them to having school nutritionists in our schools. So we are pushing for that. I'm sure St. Vincent is pushing for that too. And I'm sure we are pushing for that in all our other Caribbean islands. All right, just to close off, just some key takeaways for me. Small changes in food choices matter. Mental health and self image are just as important as physical activity. And as Neil said, movement should be fun and part of a daily life. So we want to encourage our youth advocates for better school nutrition policies and community programs. You have to push, you have to advocate, you have to make a whole heap of nights, you have to go along bad because we want our school nutrition policies and we need it now. So we just want you guys to share the HCC page with a friend, with a neighbor, and everybody. I want you guys just to tell us your Instagram handles because some of the questions that were asked, they need to message you privately for some consultations. So, Rosette, starting with you, just tell us your Instagram handle or your business page that we could follow you on.
You all can feel free to follow me on Recipes with Rosie, and you'll feel free to get information there from me.
Spell that for them, please.
Recipes, RECIPES, with WITHROZIE. Rosie.
All right. Recipes with Rosie. All right, Alicia, how can we find you?
You can find me and my team at Mental Health Talk Antigua. I don't think I need to spell that. It's pretty easy. Mental Health Talk Antigua.
All right, all right. And Melody, where can we find you on Instagram?
You can find me at melody_x, that is MELODIEE_X.
All right. And Afnil, where can we find you?
Well, it's my name. My full name, so it's Ofni Lamont. So it's at Ofni Lamont.
All right. All right. So go over, follow these persons, and you can follow me on Instagram at Dietitian Corner JA. And we are really happy. You need to guess what? You need to go and follow Heart Foundation of Jamaica. I have to rep my team, and you need to go follow HCC. Obviously, if you're on the live, you are following us. But I want you to share it with at least 10 people. That's a small number. We just want 10 people to know that things are going over HCC Instagram page. All right. And we just want to give a gentle reminder, don't forget our webinar this Thursday, Changing Systems Healthier Levels, the Caribbean Journey to the UN High Level Meeting. And we have so much more activities. People, just follow HCC. There are too much for me to talk. So you're going to type in, ready? Healthy Caribbean Coalition or Healthy Caribbean, and you will find us on Instagram. Follow us, like, share, subscribe, all of the blogger stuff that they say, the vloggers. All right. And before we go, I'm just a sentence, a closing sentence from each of our panelists, just to close off the night. Was
Okay, so,
Melody, go ahead. Melody, go ahead.
our health is our wealth. We all have a part to play in changing systems for healthier lives.
All right. Rosette.
The best treat that you can really give your child is to nurture their health and well being from an early age.
Bop, bop. All right. Alicia.
I would just encourage persons to be more mindful of the interrelated relationship between mental health and physical health and be more proactive about taking care of both.
All right, all right. And Afnil,
Finally, make movement fun and accessible. Move more, active Caribbean kids.
that's right. And my own is let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food. And I just want to big up these persons in the live chat. Let me go straight over there. So she moves Zumba. Big up to Daniel, the one and only Daniel. Big up to Simone. Big up to Mrs. S. Edwards. Aditi, oh, help me, Jesus. Aditor, DR underscore X. Mahalia Wilson. Annual Girl 268, Marla Hercules, Shiara Pensington. Oh Lord, I'm gonna stop there. I don't want to get myself in any trouble. But thank you all for joining on, and we are so happy that you could have joined us tonight. And remember to follow Healthy Caribbean and stay tuned for all the activities upcoming. Have a wonderful night, everyone.